Today is a different day, and I'm curious, are people still as optimistic about a ceasefire? Everybody who's a citizen, I would imagine, would rather have peace. On both sides, actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely, on both sides. The civilian population is paying an incredibly heavy price. And when you look at billboards along Israel's main highway in Tel Aviv, there's a large picture of President Trump, and it says, "Thank you, Mr. President." The people in Israel are breathing a sigh of relief. They've just experienced one of the most intense periods in the history of this country. And now it appears it is over following these efforts by President Trump.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to talk about the F-bomb that was dropped by Donald Trump this morning, where he was very upset with the way in which Israel completely unloaded on Iran within the first hour of him announcing the ceasefire. Now, mind you, he gave both sides, I want to say it was roughly around 12 hours to just reel everything in, go down the chain of commands, put an end to a lot of the operations that are going on. He completely understands, and it's just common sense. In the middle of negotiating a ceasefire, you still have military operations happening. So it takes time. And when you're talking about a ceasefire, essentially, it's no different than in regular everyday life with two men fighting and you're trying to break up the fist fight. You might pull your guy to the side. The other guy, the people that he's with, might pull him to the side, but they still want to kind of lunge after each other and still fight anyway. So we understand all that. When it comes to ceasefires, it takes time, right? It takes a little bit of time for cooler heads to prevail and to reel everything in. But what we're going to see Trump is particularly upset about is that within the first hour of announcing the ceasefire, Israel dropped a barrage of bombs, just unloaded on Iran. And when we watch this clip here, I can tell, it is very obvious in what he's stating, that he was very upset about that, because unloading in that way could have possibly completely nullified and voided the ceasefire to unload in that fashion. So what I want to do right now is play this clip of Donald Trump speaking to that, and then we'll get back into the discussion.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have a response to Iran?
Yeah, so there's that. So what apparently happened after the fact, once Israel bombed the you-know-what out of Iran within the first hour of Trump announcing the ceasefire, Iran, I want to say, launched close to about 5 missiles their way. And then 3 hours into the ceasefire deadline actually being official, meaning all firing, all military operations should have ended now by set amount of time. Apparently, and I'll say allegedly, 1 missile from Iran went over to Israel. Iran claims that that wasn't them and they didn't do it. And it appears that, based on what Trump was saying here, that he believed that it might have been done mistakenly. Maybe certain chains of command, weren't adhered to in that moment. And maybe somebody just fired off a missile thinking that the operations were still going forward. With that being said, Israel then vowed to strike back. And that's what Trump was responding to at the very end when he was saying that he does not want them to strike. Israel did strike, but apparently it was very minimal. And then they turned their planes back around. And since then, for the most part, things are at peace, right? For right now. So the ceasefire, for all practical purposes, is still in effect. It's still in effect. I think Trump just didn't like the way it came into effect, right? He didn't appreciate Israel dropping so many bombs so heavily on Iran in a way that could potentially escalate things or prevent the ceasefire from even taking effect. And I can understand that completely. I would probably feel the same way, especially given the relationship. Once again, just bring it into real world terms, how you interact with people that you know. You're trying to break up this fight between Israel and Iran, but you're friends with Israel. Like, that's your friend. That's the guy that you're trying to pull back. I put in place the ceasefire, and I'm really looking forward to you to not make me look bad and for you to have more of a level head than the people that you're fighting against, to really bring this in and reel it in, especially given the fact that at this point in time, Iran has been completely declawed and defanged. Their nuclear facilities have been wiped out according to our intelligence. So there's really no need for you to bomb them that heavily. For you to go out and do that anyway, yeah, I'm going to be pretty upset myself. I would be pretty upset myself, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, the ceasefire is still in effect, according to Donald Trump. As you can see here, Trump says Israel-Iran ceasefire is in effect after a deal initially faltered. The article goes on to read, we'll get through this quickly. U.S. President Donald Trump said a ceasefire between Iran and Israel was in effect Tuesday after the deal initially faltered, and the American leader expressed deep frustration with both sides. Israel had earlier accused Iran of launching missiles into its airspace after the truce was supposed to take effect, and the Israeli finance minister vowed Tehran will tremble. Iran's military denied firing on Israel, state media reported, but explosions boomed and sirens sounded across northern Israel mid-morning. And the Israeli military officially said 2 Iranian missiles were intercepted. But later he said the deal was saved. And I quote, Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect, Trump said in his Truth Social post. So apparently at this moment in time, the ceasefire is in effect. Trump just didn't like how it essentially came into effect because Israel just unloaded just a little too heavily on Iran in a way that could have prevented and just had this blow up in his face, right? But here's what I want to focus on next. Let's come over to here, because in this video that I want to play for you right now, many people have been under the assumption that Trump is into regime change, right? That he wants to completely remove the current regime and replace them with a new one. Regime change is often very messy and doesn't work out the way that you want it. And the last thing that Trump wants and or needs is boots on the ground, our military men and women in Iran, the same way that we were in Iraq and in many other nations across the Middle East, essentially trying to topple these governments, right? That's not something that Trump is interested in doing. He's not interested in regime change, and he speaks to that right now in this video that I'm going to play for you next. So let's get into this clip now.
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, there was. But no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos. And ideally, we don't want to see so much chaos. So we'll see how it does. You know, the Iranians are very good traders, very good business people, and they got a lot of oil. They should be fine. They should be able to rebuild and do a good job. They're never going to have nuclear, but other than that, they should do a great job.
So I was very pleased to hear that. And I'm sure a lot of people are pleased to hear that as well, because there were rumors going around based off of a Truth Social post that Trump put out that he's going to engage in regime change, and people are overreacting, going, oh my God, we're going to war with Iran. And we're not. We're not at war with Iran. We're not going to war with Iran. People saying that kind of stuff are just, ill-informed and ridiculous. They want to see President Trump fail, which is just astonishing how many people want to see him fail versus just allowing this man to run the country and let's see how things play out. People refuse to just let things play out, then make a decision, then honestly critique, versus jumping the gun to be disingenuous because you just hate Trump so much. It's really quite pathetic, to say the very least. It's quite pathetic. And that's what Trump's getting ready to speak to next, right? Because he also spoke about MSDNC and CNN and all the foolishness that goes on over there, just concerning muddying the waters as it pertains to real news, real information, and just constantly being against Trump just to be against Trump. I want to play that clip for you next.
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
No, Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
Israel says that they violated the peace agreement.
You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
And most of these Trump critics are weak, pathetic disgraces, man. Because once again, like I stated, so much of the critique that comes Trump's way is wildly disingenuous. It's not genuine critique based off of what's actually going on. It's critique from a standpoint of you're just a dumb hater who wants this man to fail. And that's what's wild to me, because if Trump fails, then we all fail. Just like when Biden failed, we all failed and we all felt it. So why would you want this man to fail? Just to have an aha moment and say, I told you so. Whether you're talking about MSDNC, CNN, or other silly, goofy people on YouTube who do silly, goofy live streams, always talking about Trump is taking an L, there's division in MAGA, so on and so forth, when all of that is far from the truth. People just want this man to fail, and it's completely weak and pathetic. It shows how fickle people are, and it shows that you really can't trust folks at the end of the day. If there's anything you can count on, is for people to let you down. And even more so than that, if there's one thing that you can truly count on, is for people to just simply be stupid. And most people are. And that's what a Trump presidency really shows, that most of you guys are honestly are just dumb. You're just dumb and you're stupid. And once again, there's another one of those moments where I try not to go there and just get in the name calling, but a lot of you just don't deserve respect. You're stupid. The Trump critics are really stupid at this point. And we're going to get into some stupid right here on CNN. So let's get into this clip next, because this is completely ridiculous.
The question is, how do we actually get Iran to not have a nuclear weapon? That's really where we're at.
Well, functionally, we did it, with these strikes. I mean, what he did was a courageous move, and working in concert with our special partner, Israel, we let them pummel them, take out their air defenses, and then we swoop in the way only we can with these B-2 bombers and these special massive ordnance penetrators, and we deal with the situation. So it was great tactically. Ultimately, the only way to get Iran to stop seeking a nuclear weapon, I suppose, would be if the people of Iran rose up and tossed these butchers out and got themselves a new government. I'm not suggesting that we should be involved in that, but you would hope someday that the people of Iran would decide to have, something more like a normal government where, you're not constantly trying to get nuclear weapons to bring about the end of the world, which is effectively what they're constantly trying to do. But today is a great day for America. It's a great day for Western civilization.
Scott, my problem is the Trump administration is taking a victory lap as if they're the only ones who planned this. And I understand he took the action, but this action was planned by the military for multiple administrations. You just said yourself, Israel has been pummeling Iran because the Biden administration was providing weaponry for them to do so. So I will say, it's just amazing to me.
Plans are only pieces of paper unless they're executed. And this plan was executed flawlessly.
Occasionally the correct answer is just,
rolled the dice.
Good job, President Trump. Well done.
Occasionally
that's the right answer.
But he rolled the dice. We don't know how this is going to end. Is this going to bring about peace? I'm not sure. If you want to say tonight, for sure, 100% it's peace, I'm actually willing to kind of look at that bet, because over the course of time,
you're hoping for something else?
No, I'm not. Over the course of time, history will tell you that when I went around the world with President Obama, these other countries are planning in 100-year plans, and we are looking at 2- and 4-year plans. And what I'm saying is this military strike was many years in the planning by our very capable military, and I think they deserve the credit.
I mean, you can't get any more ridiculous than this, because at the end of the day, as far as common sense goes, which is something that most people don't have, it's very obvious that Iran can't have nuclear weapons. Essentially, they're a terrorist regime that sponsors terrorists all throughout the Middle East and throughout the world. So they can't have nuclear weapons. This is a sentiment that's been echoed by numerous Democrats over the decades, right? From Obama to Hillary Clinton, so on and so forth. The difference between Trump and the Democrats is that Trump was actually willing to do it. He was willing to go over there and partake in military strikes to destroy the nuclear facility. He actually had the balls to do it, where Democrats don't. And most people, I believe, understand that this needed to be done. He did it. Nothing has since happened negatively since then. So therefore, yeah, this is a victory. But if you're one of these DNC lunatics or just one of these other goofies that hate Trump just to hate Trump and always looking for an aha moment, then you're going to start looking for reasons for why. Well, it's not really Trump's victory lap. This is something that was done over numerous administrations. The American government is a friend of Israel. The American government has been supplying Israel with finances and weapons for years. So if you're looking to be hyper technical because you can't just say great job, President Trump, then if you want to be hyper technical, I guess you can say, yeah, they still have some stockpile missiles that they got from Obama, and they might have used those missiles from Obama versus whatever we might have given them in more up-to-date times. So therefore, we really got to thank Obama. Right? It's really Obama that did this. That's the logic of people like this. It's completely foolish, man. And what Scott Jennings was hinting to, if you're being honest, man, and it really goes to show how sick these DNC lunatics are, as well as just Trump haters overall, because it goes beyond the mainstream media. You have a lot of goofies on the internet as well. If there was a sleeper cell attack that occurred on American soil, you people are so sick that you would actually be happy that happened. That's how sick you people are. That's how sick the DNC lunatics are and the anti-Trump crowd is. If there was a sleeper cell situation that occurred on U.S. soil, you all would be so happy just to be able to say, I told you. And that's what's really scary. That's what's really scary, is how much you hate Trump more than you love your own country. So much so to the point that you would love for tragedy to strike on U.S. soil, just so you can point at Trump and go, aha. You people are pathetic. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And also do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. Link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.